If spiders already make you uncomfortable, crawlers may be the movie that turns that fear into a full 2-hour nightmare. The new trailer takes one of the most common phobias imaginable and traps it inside a quarantined apartment building where venomous spiders are multiplying by the second. And just when you think the movie has shown you the worst possible scenario, it adds one more horrifying idea. What if one crawls into your mouth while you are asleep? Matilda Lutz stars as Serena, the overworked and underappreciated manager of the Paradiso Palms apartment complex. She knows the building better than anyone. Every hallway, every maintenance route, every locked door, every possible escape. That knowledge becomes the only reason anyone inside may survive. The problem begins when a deadly species of spider spreads through the building fast enough to turn an ordinary infestation into a disaster. Police order a quarantine, no one gets out. And once the residents realize the spiders are reproducing far faster than anyone expected, the apartment complex becomes less like a home and more like a sealed ecosystem built entirely around survival. That setup is simple, but it is exactly the kind of simplicity that can make creature horror work. You do not need a complicated mythology. You do not need an ancient curse. You do not need a supernatural explanation. You only need one thing the audience already hates, and then put too many of them in a place nobody can escape. Crawlers understands that. And that matters. The trailer spends a lot of time using ordinary spaces against us. Beds, bathrooms, air vents, kitchen counters, corners of ceilings. Places that normally disappear into the background suddenly become potential hiding spots. That is what makes spider horror so effective. A shark needs water, a giant monster needs space. A spider needs almost nothing. It can be under a pillow, inside a shoe, behind a wall, or apparently. If this trailer has anything to say about it, inside your mouth. That sleeping sequence may be the moment most viewers remember. It takes a fear people joke about and turns it into a visual threat. And once the movie plants that idea in your head, every quiet bedroom scene becomes tense before anything even happens. The official premise says the spiders are both venomous and deadly, but the real threat is how quickly they multiply. That changes the structure of the danger. Killing one means almost nothing. Finding one nest means there may be 10 more. A small problem can become impossible in minutes. And because the building is under quarantine, the residents cannot simply run into the street and wait for professionals. They are trapped with the infestation. Serena therefore becomes the obvious center of the story. She is not a soldier. She is not a scientist. She is not a monster hunter. She is the person everyone usually ignores until something breaks. Now the entire building depends on her because she understands how the complex works. Serena knows service corridors. She knows access points. She knows which doors connect to which rooms. She knows where people can hide and where they can move. In another movie, that knowledge would barely matter. Here, it may be the difference between life and death. Matilda Lutz is also a good fit for this kind of role. Revenge already proved she can carry a physically demanding genre film and make desperation feel believable. Crawlers appears to ask for a different kind of performance. Serena is not entering the story as someone looking for violence. She is exhausted before the horror even begins. That makes the escalation more interesting. She starts as a woman who feels invisible inside the building she manages. Then suddenly every resident is looking to her for answers. That gives the movie an emotional arc beneath the creature chaos. Director Angel Gomez Hernandez comes from horror, and the trailer suggests he understands that spiders should not be shown too clearly too early. A glimpse is enough. A shadow moving across a wall is enough. A sound from inside a vent is enough. The worst thing the movie could do would be overexpose the creatures until they stop feeling real. The more the audience is forced to imagine where they are, the stronger the tension becomes. Jason Rothwell wrote the screenplay, and the concept gives him a contained survival structure that can escalate naturally. First, the residents discover the spiders. Then the building is sealed. Then the infestation spreads. Then the safe areas disappear. At that point, every new location becomes temporary. That is the kind of pressure a movie like this needs. The production team is another reason Crawlers is worth watching. The film comes from Badlands, the new collaboration between Thunder Road producers Basil Ivanek and Erica Lee and longtime studio executive Scott Strauss. That is a very interesting combination. Thunder Road is associated with movies like John Wick and Sicario, while Strauss has experience with franchise-driven genre films like Resident Evil and Underworld. So even though Crawlers is built around horror, the people behind it understand pacing, action, and escalation. The Saban team has described it as a pure genre experience built around relentless tension and high-energy entertainment. That is probably the right approach. There is no reason for Crawlers to pretend it is something more complicated than it is. The audience is buying a ticket to feel trapped in a building full of spiders. Deliver that well and the movie has done its job. The release strategy also suggests confidence. Crawlers was originally expected earlier in October, but it is now scheduled for a nationwide theatrical release on October 16th. That puts it right in the middle of Halloween season, where a straightforward creature feature can find exactly the audience it needs. The biggest question is whether the spiders themselves will look convincing. Creature horror lives or dies on that. If the visual effects feel too artificial, the fear disappears quickly. But if the movie mixes practical elements, smart shadows, sound design, and limited digital work, the creatures do not need to be perfect, they only need to feel close. And the trailer definitely understands proximity. The spiders are not far away, they are in the room, on the bed, inside the vents, near your face. That is why the concept works. The danger is not huge. It is small enough to hide anywhere. Crawlers opens in theaters on October 16th. I want to know what you think after this new trailer. Does a quarantined apartment building full of deadly spiders sound like the perfect Halloween nightmare? Or is this exactly the kind of movie you would never watch because the fear feels too real? Because Crawlers does not need to invent a new monster. For a lot of people, it has already chosen the worst one possible. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments. This is where these kinds of films come to life. Until the next story, stay curious, be critical, keep your eyes on the screen. And remember, every film you haven't seen is a new film.